this generally concerns the evidentiary hearing, okay, which was quite lengthy, with about a week long. And observed three attorneys, Ms. Allen, which is state office, Mr. Smith, Madison County, and Mr. Abler, Antelope. As I understand it, correct me anytime that if I don't say anything correctly, correct me right away. Ms. Allen is paid by the state. Mr. Smith is free, or is that reciprocal? Does Joe go down there, I should say Mr. Abler, does Mr. Abler go down there and reciprocate in Madison County if Mr. Smith is free?
I'm sorry? I didn't know the question was for me.
Try to understand the fiduciary requirements, because several people that I talk to evidently doesn't understand the procedure, and as do I.
When you say fiduciary requirements, I guess, Mr. Meadows, I don't understand what you're referring to there.
Payments. The court dictates what's to be paid. Now, here's another thing that while we were on that. Okay, you guys just went over the bills for the month, correct? Was a line item. And did you review that? Do you know what it is? And then my next question is, if there's a question, can you have a hearing presented back to the judge?
For what? I guess I don't not.
For discrepancy.
I need some clarification.
Well, if there's a discrepancy, or if someone feels in the county here, feels that, wait a minute, you've gone way overboard. You have gone way past the means of the county to be able to pay these fiduciary requirements.
Such as, for what? In the prosecution of a criminal case?
Yes.
Basically, it's the county and the state's requirement to prosecute cases. And I came to this board and advised them, just like I did the first Lerman hearing, basically this case is gonna be a very expensive case, and they know that.
Okay.
And just like other counties fall on the responsibility of prosecuting the case, the cost of it.
If there's a,
When you ask the question, do you think there's a time limit or something like that?
Well, no. I'm just trying to understand,
okay,
because here's the thing that the judge rules on payment. Well, at $75 an hour.
Just to give an example, just like a few weeks ago, Judge Johnson granted Mr. Temple, his office, I believe $7,500 to hire an expert to defend this person. There's nothing that we can say or do to a certain extent as to whether or not, the fact the judge even left it open, that if there's more needed, Mr. Temple and his office and representing the criminal defendant has to then file a motion and get court approval for additional expenses.
Did you guys know that? See, this is something that they probably evidently have already approved and didn't know anything about it. See, and that's my
Mr. Meadows, we pay claims that are on services already rendered.
right.
We take an invoice or a statement or what have you for work already performed and or services already received. So if you agree to allow $7,500, that does not mean we paid a claim of $7,500. We made a claim of $6,500 and a claim of $1,000.
So
But
there's a cap.
Well, I don't know if there's a cap or not, but what I'm saying is the services have already been rendered. We just don't write a $7,500 blank check to Charlie Brown because that's what the judge told us to do. Charlie Brown has to have a service. I mean, if the judge tells us that, don't tell me. But if he's authorized the $7,500, does not mean we paid.
before the supervisors go through the claim and it has to be signed 3 times. And if there's a question with the claim, it's set aside. And then we review it together. Whether it's a...
But on these, what the judge says, we can't go against it.
Yeah. No.
But we can't just write a $7,500
No,
check
no,
because
no,
he
there
said
has to
it's
be-
The guy has to
$7,500.
give us approved.
Right, you have to have a service.
It has to be approved,
Right.
but what I'm saying is, if the judge says you have to pay up to $7,500, we can't go against that.
But if he goes over the $7,500, he has to be approved by the court.
He has to be
Everything
approved by
else.
the court, yes.
Yeah, the
And
judge
what-
has to oversee that then.
And how that will happen is Mr. Temple in his office submits fees, claims to the county, and he'll file them through the court. And then the court will either disapprove them or approve them, then they'll send them down to the board. Now, this board, and I haven't advised them of this yet because it hasn't happened yet, but as far as legal fees and everything, this board does have the option to ask for a special prosecutor to review certain things. And if they find that certain things may have been frivolous or whatever, they come and advise this board, the board can take it back up to the court and say, hey, we think these certain things didn't necessarily have to be done, but it's ultimately the judge that's gonna approve those attorney's fees at $75 an hour.
But you're the one that basically is gonna be the.
Not me, because I'm the
No, I mean,
prosecutor
what
in
I'm
the
saying
case, I'm
is
saying
that
the
you're
board can
coming
ask
to the
for
board
it.
and say, hey, I think maybe you ought to take another look at
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Because I don't know, when you get into the proceedings with the board.
We can ask a neighboring county, and stuff like that, but it'd be very minimal. They're gonna go through basically the itemized bill and see, well, what was this, why was this needed kind of thing, was it necessarily this, you can certainly ask that to be done. I'll advise you on that.
Everything's itemized on the bill. Because every call, each attorney makes or who they call, it's all itemized there. I've seen the bill this morning, it's all
Mileage
itemized.
for witnesses.
Yeah, it's all itemized.
It's all items.
But as for the $7,500, they can't go over that unless they get the judge approved. If they need to get it up to $2,000, he'll have to approve it through the court first.
Yeah,
But like she said, we just don't write a check for $7,500.
Do you go through the list, and have you ever challenged it?
No,
We have no way to challenge.
But there's
it.
no way
If-
we
if-
know
If the
how to
attorney
challenge
has
it.
it, he's talked to this guy, and charges this much for doing it. We have to take his word for it, because we weren't there when he interviewed the guy, correct? You know what I'm saying?
To a certain extent, that's
To a
correct.
certain extent.
But there's certain things that I'm not gonna go into it because I have a pending criminal case I think you're referring to, Mr. Meadows. And I'm not gonna go into all that right here, right now.
Well, I didn't mean for to put
But I know,
that on here, but.
I know what you're saying, and I know what you're saying, and the thing is, though, you gotta understand, and I hope the general public understands, that this is basically a constitutional right for a person who is indigent, the court found a person indigent, they cannot pay for an attorney or the attorney's fees, therefore, that responsibility falls upon the taxpayers of the state and the county, state of Nebraska and the county of Antelope, when that happens.
Well, the only reason I'm here is I'm trying to understand, because I don't go to the coffee shack that much, but when I do, everybody's there, if there's 10 people, there's 10 opinions of how this process works, so I thought maybe I would, so I'm
Well,
not making any
I wish
actions.
we could have coffee up in the courtroom when you guys come up and watch it, we can maybe have some more people, it's actually rather interesting.
Okay, I think that's all.
Anything else you want?
But yeah, no, there is a process, and I plan on, when it gets closer to the resolution of certain cases, I might come to this board and suggest that they do something like that. It hasn't come to that point yet, though.
Okay, well, that's what, because of several of the people I talked to, didn't understand the process, and, okay, I thank you, I thank the board.
Okay, thank you very much.